This is Casey
I'm Tinky
from Adventure Time, and we are going to show you the music.
How we do it.
My DJ activities include tracking down the freshest, newest stuff from the weirdest corners of the world. I've been a percussionist forever. It's the way I think about things rhythmically and just with my familiarity with percussion instruments.
My name is Casey Pasikas. My approach to Adventure Time takes in all the extremes. I usually start by looking at the characters and the things that are specific to an episode and trying to find the real attitude of it and how I could represent it musically, both in the instruments and the sounds and also with the bass music ideas. I often write a lot of my own music software that allows me to accomplish these ideas or abstract things like keyboards so that they play differently than the way you would expect them. Once I have this kind of component orchestra that I can work with, the intellectual aspect of composing ends, and I start with the performative aspect, where I play back the episode and I listen to the dialogue and I try to feel the rhythm and the pacing and interweave the music.
So Casey and I collaborated on Guardians of Sunshine, which is the video game episode where Finn and Jake get sucked into the video game world. I'm all about like emulating the motifs from video game music. Metroid, Mega Man, totally an ode to like old 8-bit music. Casey's approach, every time we would pass stuff back and forth, he was just coming from a totally different angle, building this 8-bit opus. So instead of maybe having one instrument in a physical space, it would have been like rooms and rooms full of 8-bit instrument performers. Casey and I were both working with the same sound palette. It was awesome just to see how our personalities like shone through.
He was able to take it and create something that I loved, and it was so...
One of my favorite episodes was the Jiggler. We had this organic, tin canny, aquatic equipment like robot, and it seemed like such a great opportunity to play with organic robotics and things like this. So it was right when like the whole auto-tune thing was just saturating pop radio, and I thought that there's so many opportunities here for people to dislike our music with a little bit of auto-tune in it. Tim was in town from San Francisco, and we both spent an entire night making the most strange glottal. I'm sure it looks really easy, and it is.
I inherited Casey's legacy of the zombie episodes. Slumber Party Panic is all about suspense. Finn and Jake are preparing for a zombie apocalypse. My episode, From Bad to Worse, was also about zombies, but they are a threat throughout the whole episode. I continued on with Casey's synth-driven horror theme. I had a great time ramping up the energy to just make it kind of feel like your stomach is jumping a little bit, even to a beat. I was going for the audience being confused about whether they wanted to run out of the room or just start dancing.
It just created this chaotic, uncontrollable, organic life form that was rhythmic. It was playable, but you were not fully in control over what it was doing and how it was moving, and you had to, as much as anything, sculpt or massage the shape out of it and the musicality out of just this alien texture of vocal sound.
Yeah, Adventure Time Witches. Our running theme for Witches has been steel guitar, very organic, very quirky.
Just dragging him across the strings and playing this unpredictable, raw, aggressive, clawing sound.
My first foray into Adventure Time and its Witches was in the Witch's Garden episode for season 1.
I would make these recordings on the dobro.
He had prepared some bonkers steel guitar samples for me to work with.
He took it and ornamented it with like an 8-bit kind of sparkly,
super ornamental, high, little flittery, flourishy 8-bit sounds.
You know, there was knives raining from the sky all day, so it was like one of those rainy days. thought it'd be cool to capture that kind of sound as these waves of like atmosphere. The limit. It was this gauntlet maze that Finn and Jake had to go through, and in order to mark their path, Jake decided to like tie himself off at the beginning of it and just stretch through, and as he goes through the episode he gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. I ended up playing a Stratocaster guitar, and I was using the red half full as a slide and a red half full as like a mallet, and retuning the guitar into different kind of harmonies and just creating this tense, tuna can sharp danger.
So the What Was Missing episode, I'm just basically like playing the instruments that all the characters are playing. Marceline's bass, Jake's viola, and then BMO. So I made percussion instruments and harmonies with my Game Boy loops. And for Princess Bubblegum's melodies, auto chord, it's a cool vintage synth to make these pretty melodic swoops to accompany BMO's rigid robotic patterns, loops, and structures.
Tree Chunks has been a favorite of mine throughout the series. I've done most of the Tree Chunks episodes. I'm going crazy bowing my bass and saws and everything I found in my house, trying to create this folksy massacre that was going on when the signs were attacking Finn. From that point on, all the episodes that she's been featured in have that just fun, experimental spirit about them.
I've done most of the Ice King episodes. He's an outcast or he's a recluse. So there's always some sort of fragility to his music. In When Wedding Bells Thaw, the Ice King's getting married. You know, it should be a happy occasion to reflect the Ice King's sensitive, cold heart. I used vibraphone and kind of made these sweeping, cold breezes of mallet percussion.
There's episodes like Memory of a Memory, and that episode had that dreamlike morphing from scene to scene and mood to mood as you traveled through time through her memories. I hooked up every parameter for the synth, statistically average spectrum of like all the different possible sounds, taking them and running them through the episode as like the performative element. The space changes and then they fluidly descend in between them. The synth kind of follows suit and defines the texture and atmosphere of the space.
I play with the Ice King's personality in a different way. In this case, the Ice King puts a freezing potion on Finn and Jake. So for the entire episode, he's pretty much in control. I decided to kind of build this crystalline, glassy, cutting, sharp synth, like holding a diamond in your hand.
The Mystery Train, the drums in most of the episode were all done by beatboxing. I watched the picture, marked a couple points, and then just... and I morphed it with actual train tracks just running in the background, trying to give it that sound and give it some of the nuance of the train, and then also with like some jazz snare brushes. So the resultant thing was this amorphic, organic, suspenseful train track that would just pulsate and grow naturally with the music and just rise with the suspense of the episode.
For the Slow Love episode, I ended up kind of emulating all these instruments based on an LA producer called James Funk. He produced Snoop Dogg and this and that. I really got into some of his tracks to kind of break down what it was that constituted that 80s velour, allure, gangster wine. And then the finishing touch was just some low sub bass to complement Biz Marquis's. In the end, it just coalesced into such a slimy, amazing synth meeting call.
Silent King was another one where I was trying to approach the idea of motives and themes from a more abstract standpoint. And in the episode, Finn encounters this like goblin culture who can't find a leader to save its life. And eventually, they find their ideal leader is no leader at all. So what I wanted to do with it was create this world where there was no aristocracy, because you have these palaces and you have everything built up, and like, what is there?
Making music for Adventure Time is great because I get to really have fun with and play around with all kinds of new sounds, whether it's like squee from the Netherlands, footwork from Chicago, dubstep from London. I really had a field day with the Belly of the Beast episode. My mission was to hit every kind of rave music that I love. I found some great sounds that sound kind of like womb-like. There's a beat, and also there was like a heartbeat.
I decided to make that same ornate feeling, but with folk music. After the atmospheric component was in the episode, kind of defining it, that's really when you start to see what it's gonna be and where it needs to go.